Oh my god. You thought that Jim Jones and Chrissy Ellen's romance was all about hip-hop and romance. Pay close attention to this latest drama. It's eerie on the internet. Several sources suggest that Jim Jones and Chrissy Ellen got into a terrifying, public altercation. The facts are absurd. The situation swiftly deteriorated, according to witnesses. And we haven't even discussed Jim's reputation. It is hardly surviving at all. Started off with what seemed to be a simple argument, but things quickly went south when Jim lost all control. What happened? It is worse than you think, honey, according to reports. The audience couldn't believe it. Chrissy was frightened, and social media isn't full. Meltdown. This time, did Jim Jones truly go too far? Answers are being sought. Why did he act so violently? More importantly, who is the mysterious character at the center of this drama? Celebrities are speaking out, and fans are split over insider knowledge that might ruin Jim's entire career. Thus, prepare your popcorn in light of this dispute. This is just the start. Nothing has yet been visible to you. Hold on tight if you previously believed that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin had a troubled relationship. The most current controversy. Even hip-hop and love-pop producers are probably desperately trying to figure out how hits so crazy that you have to cover it. The details are messy. So let's take a look back and see how we got here. Last Saturday night, baby. It all started at a private party. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin showed their holding hands and smiling as though since Jim and Chrissy's relationship has been tumultuous for years, everything seemed okay. The fans were shocked. Despite Jim's involvement in dubious business practices, Chrissy has stood with him. Financial difficulties and suspicions of infidelity. They are taking a break 1 minute and engaged the next. But Chrissy might have had enough this time. According to witnesses, Jim and Chrissy were sitting in the VIP section of a posh club in New York City when things started to go awry. It seems that Chrissy had been drinking a little too much, which is not unusual for him. But let's face it, it hit in a different way this time. A club source claims that Chrissy repeatedly tried to soothe Jim, but he refused to listen. Jim was behaving strangely. He was pacing back and forth all night, looking irate. Then it happened. BM. Two sources state that Jim got a text message. What did he observe? It set him off. Chrissy leaned over to ask what was going on, and things heated up. Witnesses said that Jim snatched his phone away from Chrissy and started to shout. Jim refused to let it go. Chrissy attempted to stay, but calm since she doesn't like to cause a commotion while sitting nearby, as you are well aware. Calm down, Jim. Not here. Chrissy kept saying, according to another source. But Jim got upset and started pointing at her while increasing his voice. Others started to take notice of them at that point. You could see people looking towards the VIP area, even though the music was still playing loudly. It was then that things really began to spiral out of control. One witness claimed that Jim leaped to his feet and walked directly into Chrissy's face. It looked like he was grabbing her arm. But do not do it, Jim. Chrissy screamed as she pushed him away. But he did it. My beloved Jim. Jim reportedly grabbed Chrissy's arm in an attempt to force her out of the booth. The whole club went cold. Suddenly Chrissy screamed, "Get off me," and yanked her arm away. At that point, an unidentified person with ties to the couple stepped in to end their relationship. According to sources, Jim and this unidentified individual have been close friends for many years. However, how did he intervene? He almost seemed to be more interested in protecting Chrissy than in protecting Jim. The incident was described by a witness. The man stepped in and ordered him to calm down, adding, "You are doing too much, Jim." Security had to step in after Jim shoved him back and warned him to stay out of it. Chrissy was shaking by this time. She was clearly attempting to hold back her emotions, as evidenced by the flushed face. As security dragged the mystery man out of the club, Jim gave him a final shove and yelled, "You do not know what the F* you are talking about." Chrissy also remained behind, honey, and she had a frightening appearance. Chrissy reportedly sat down and placed her head in her hands. She was contacted by people who wanted to know how she was doing, but she just sat there without saying anything. Things get considerably messier at this point. What, according to others with knowledge of the situation, was making Jim angry? It's awful, sweetheart. According to rumors, Jim was receiving a lot of messages on his phone from an enigmatic woman Chrissy believes has been playing with force. Yes, Jim has been accused of straying for years, but Chrissy has always defended him. Chrissy denied reports that Jim and an unnamed woman were out in Miami. Nevertheless, this time she saw the first-hand evidence. Chrissy knew he was caught, according to someone close to him. And when Chrissy found the messages on Jim's phone, he reacted angrily rather than admitting it. And believe me when I say that social media seized upon this right away. A video of the online rumors of an altercation were already circulating. A club member recorded the entire incident on camera as Jim and Chrissy left the establishment, then posted it to TikTok with the relevant comment. Jim Jones is no more. In the club, he went out on Chrissy. What regarding the comments? Frank made the remarks. Chrissy needs to leave him by now. Please. Are you out here ruining Chrissy's reputation once more, Jim? Chrissy is playing herself if she continues to live with him. What is the most ridiculous element of the event? Jim and Chrissy have not exchanged a single word. Jim has no stories on his Instagram account. But you all know that silence has more power than words. However, the unnamed man who supported it makes it much more intriguing. At this point, Christy, perhaps he isn't even a friend. This man has reportedly been dating Chrissy for a while, honey. Let's also mention that some people are starting to wonder if Chrissy has already moved on. Jim is aware that Chrissy has been relying on him for emotional support, according to a person close to the pair. Assistance, and for months, they have been at odds. Additionally, Jim's public outburst with Chrissy, lovely. That's not just anger, it's terror. Fear that Chrissy would put a permanent stop to their relationship. Now, what will happen next is the real question. Because from what I've heard so far, Chrissy isn't going to back down. This might be the final straw for Chrissy. According to someone close to her, she has had enough of Jim and is worn out. Jim is in damage control mode as well. I understand. Rumor has it that he has already gotten in touch with some of his industry acquaintances in an effort to conceal the news, but because the video is now widely known, there is no going back. Allow me to explain the ramifications of this scandal. The world of hip-hop and love will be fully upended since Jim may lose more than just his romance if Chrissy permanently leaves. And the legends of this enigmatic man are true. He might lose everything. And trust me when I say that this is just the beginning of what lies ahead. Things are going to get more messy. If you thought the first part was messy, you're going to get a lot more messy stuff because of Jim Jones's outburst. Yes, it's far worse than we thought. Supporters are taking sides. The web is on fire. And I'll tell you Chrissy's current movement, what about it? Jim might have just messed up with the woman in the suitcase, it seems. Then, where do we end? Up indeed. Security removed Jim from the club after he tried to drag Chrissy out of the booth in front of a packed room, leaving Chrissy sitting there in shock, embarrassment, and humiliation. But did you allow us to talk about what happened next? Because the real drama starts there. Let's analyze what we now know, honey. According to people close to the marriage, Jim became angry because of those texts in addition to Chrissy's answer. And, by close I mean close UC. A highly trustworthy insider claimed that Jim had been texting an unnamed woman for months, and we're talking about overt emotional betrayal, flirty messaging, and serious conversations. A source claims it's not simply a casual side chick affair. For a while, Jim kept denying Chrissy's concerns, but Chrissy saw the messages when they showed up on his phone. What was the subject of those messages? They were vile. We're talking about late-night texts like I miss you, honey, when are you coming to see me? Chrissy is not necessary to know. Are you okay with it? Which is the worst, two sources. This enigmatic woman is not your typical woman. It seems like she is connected to someone else in the company. Indeed, this will turn into a full-scale scandal in the industry. What's worse is that Chrissy didn't intend to talk about it. According to someone close to Chrissy, she was trying to resolve the issue privately, but Jim's response was what really made things work. Chrissy initially maintained her composure and made an effort to behave like an adult. But when Jim started to lose his temper and act impulsively, she knew he was guilty. And what do you know? Jim has already been linked to allegations of infidelity. Do you all know that Jim was spotted with an Instagram model in Miami in 2019? Additionally, Chrissy basically told everyone to stop talking when she went live. Yes, this time she isn't playing that game. The video went viral on social media at what point? The internet exploded. #protect RIC were already making the baby Twitter buzz. By the time the video was posted on blogs, Jim Jones had been unmasked. How about the comments? This time, brutal. Chrissy must permanently leave him. Jim, how do you respect the woman who restrained you? It's embarrassing. He must be seen for who he really is by Chrissy. Even Remy Ma, who usually stays away from dramas of this kind, liked a tweet that said, "Chrissy deserves better than Jim has been acting." What about the famous people they started weighing into? I saw Cardi B post on Twitter that some of you don't deserve the women you have, man SMH, added by Tamar Braxton. I would have handled that situation very differently. So Chrissy is better than me. Interestingly, Jim's supporters immediately started looking into his social media activity for years. And, as you are well aware, social media investigators never take a vacation. And you know what they found? Jim hasn't exactly been acting like a devoted husband. For example, screenshots showing Jim's fondness and remarking on pictures of a certain woman. You can guess who she was, too. Indeed, it may be the same woman who sent those messages. What more do you know? After sharing the information, they found that Jim was making fun of her in a recent direct message, calling her attractive and using heart-eye emojis, as though he wasn't already interested. Screenshots. Jim Toohey is not helping himself, honey, because Jim chose to publish this mysterious remark on Instagram, rather than keeping quiet and allowing the tension to subside. Jim had been acting recklessly, and Chrissy had just caught him, one admirer remarked. The half of it is unknown to you all. Do you mind, Jim? What exactly? Do you remember our discussion about the man who stepped in between Jim and Chrissy? Apparently, he is much more knowledgeable. Do we not know the real stunner, even if it occurred when the unnamed man who broke up the altercation spoke up? According to an insider, the unnamed man has been telling Chrissy for years that Jim is not the person he purports to be. He has supposedly been close to her for years and has witnessed Jim's behind-the-scenes treatment of her. From what I've heard, he is tired of it, proper man for her, but she wasn't ready to hear it, now that he seems to be taking on more than one role. Chrissy reportedly heard the unidentified man say, "You deserve better," following the incident. "This is not something you deserve." And the ensuing manner in which Chrissy gazed at him, "There is definitely something there, honey." One person with knowledge of the situation claims that even though Chrissy doesn't frequently switch between relationships, there is a connection between her and this guy, Jim too, and it does not please him following the incident. Jim allegedly confronted the unnamed person and things got heated. My wife, an insider, claims that Jim yelled at him to back off and then act accordingly. Whoa. The question now is Chrissy truly done with Jim for good? The mystery man asked. Because from what I've heard, Chrissy is finally starting to take notice of those around her. Includes the fact that when Jim was acting off, an unnamed man stepped in. Perhaps that wake-up call was what she needed. You guys, Jim is spiraling. He looks messy and depressed. He has been contacting Chrissy nonstop while out drinking in New York in an effort to apologize. But Chrissy, she is Jim, might lose not just Chrissy, but also his money because guess what? Rumor has it that Chrissy has already started talking to her lawyer. If this is true, then what am I hearing? Not picking up, honey. What is the most ridiculous part? The issue is that Chrissy hasn't yet voiced her thoughts, and she hasn't said anything on social media. Jim's business activities, including the bear house where they live, Chrissy's name, and what if she left Jim? Chrissy might not have anywhere to go. Honey. The fact that she is already talking to her lawyer, though, says more than words could. Yes, Jim's situation is not looking good, and the repercussions of this are going to get much more convoluted. What if Chrissy files a lawsuit? Honey, Jim's career and reputation could be irreversible, and trust me, you are not ready for what is about to happen? Hold on tight, because part 3 is going to go nuclear, baby. An unidentified woman comes forward. Oh sweetheart, it's getting out of control, honey. If you thought part 2 was crazy because of Jim Jones's outbursts consequences, wait until you hear what happened next. What harm do you see now that it's worse than everyone else? Jim's career, reputation, and even his love are all on the verge of collapse. Jim might have finally pushed her too far, to put it kindly, but where do we end up? It turns out that Jim was in a downward spiral after being exposed for sending those questionable texts and his confrontation with Chrissy in public at the club gym. Chrissy, to the way she is moving right now. Honey. The unidentified man has already stepped in to protect Chrissy, and he did not take it well. Let's talk about what happened next, honey, because trust me, it's more complicated than you think. Jim apparently did not just leave the club after that meeting. He was furious. Oh no. According to rumors, Jim left the club immediately and went straight to a nearby motel. And boy, was he not alone. The truth was confirmed by a trustworthy source. Jim exited the club with a lady who looked a lot like the person he had been texting. According to several sources, they said they weren't exactly attempting to hide it, and it wasn't Chrissy. Is it okay with you? Yes. Chrissy hadn't even left the club yet, and he was already moving on, but the receipts stack up. And I'm not saying it was the mystery woman. One person with knowledge of the situation said that Jim departed holding hands with her, not even trying to be discreet about it. And you know what? Everyone had a story. Whether it was from Hollywood, the Shade Room, or TMZ Unlocked. And by the next morning, images of Jim and this unnamed woman leaving the hotel were making the rounds on social media. One fan captioned the photo after it was posted. What about the vicious statements they made? My dear Chrissy should cut Jim off completely because he has been garbage and isn't even trying to hide it anymore. Jim couldn't wait a day before making Chrissy appear stupid again. Chrissy deserves better. How can you cheat and then have the gall to lose? Oh my god. It started to get worse just when you thought it couldn't get much worse because, guess what? The anonymous woman went live on Instagram, posting while sipping a glass of wine and looking really smirked and said, I am not the one who made promises. Seemed unaffected by the comments that started to come in asking whether she was the person Jim left with. His issue is that you folks should therefore keep your mouths shut. Are you okay with it? You're telling me that Jim's rudeness towards Ward Chrissy is making this woman laugh. The audacity, honey, even though she knows it happened. Jim, too. Yes, he exacerbated the situation because, instead of denying it or apologizing, Jim shared a picture of himself on Instagram the next day with the following caption, expressing regret. It is what it is. I swear I almost threw my phone out of the window. Chrissy too, honey. A few hours later, she posted the enigmatic comment below on her Instagram story, suggesting that she must have spotted it too. Have faith when they first reveal themselves to you as infants. But let me tell you, the mysterious man's story did not end there. Oh, he wasn't going to allow Jim E.T. to get away with this. A close friend of Chrissy said that the enigmatic man called Chrissy, following Chrissy clearly listened to Jim's little stunt when he stated, you do not have to deal with this anymore. You know what Chrissy did? She then approached her attorney and said, honey, it's true that Chrissy was spotted outside a renowned attorney's New York City office. We are dealing with one of the most vicious divorce attorneys. This is not just any lawyer in the industry. One source claims that Chrissy is tired of playing games after years of keeping Jim down. She's finished. How about the rumors? They're losing their minds. Since Chrissy's name is on some of Jim's most valuable assets, such as the house businesses and endorsement deals. I've heard insiders say that Chrissy wants to take everything with her rather than just leaving. If Chrissy filed for divorce, what would happen? Jim may lose everything. My dear, the truth came from an insider. Chrissy was there for him when he had nothing. She should also get half of what he has now, Jim. Jim allegedly started blowing up, so he knows he made a mistake. Chrissy's phone following her meeting with her attorney. Someone close to Chrissy claims that Jim has continued to call, text, and leave voicemails for her. Even when he went to her flat in person, Chrissy wouldn't open the door. The most ridiculous part is that Jim even attempted to obtain his own mother, Mama Jones, to talk to Christy. One source claims that I said to Chrissy, I love you, but I cannot keep doing this. How about the internet? Jim's mother called and basically begged her to improve the situation. Christmas is the team on the internet. Christy is deserving. Jim pays her back in this way for keeping him down when no one else could. Chrissy would be smart to take him for everything. Celebrities are speaking out as well. Nicki Minaj responded to a post with the following remark. Jim's behavior has been self-serving. Chrissy has remained faithful. Did anyone else jump in? On her Instagram story, you inquire. Remy Ma revealed. If a lady has been keeping you down from the start, don't play with her. The issue is that Jim has to deal with more than just criticism from others. His occupation. Already, it's having a bad effect. According to rumors, Jim was negotiating a new reality TV deal with a large network, Honey. However, the deal is on hold as a result of this debate. They don't want the fallout, a network insider claims. Jim's name is already too soiled for advertisers to stay. At this moment, what about his company, which is also failing? Honey, it looks like Jim is already pulling out of one of his largest endorsement deals, which is worth over 6 figures and involves trainers. This was confirmed by an insider. Because they don't want to be associated with this kind of scandal, the brand is considering ending the contract. How does Jim bounce back from this, then? Because Chrissy is in total charge right now. As far as I can tell, she has the receipts. The general public backs her. In court, she is in a stronger position. What would happen if Chrissy decided to take this issue to court? Jim might completely lose his reputation, his work, and his money, honey. He may even lose the person he loves. What, according to someone close to Chrissy, is this the most ridiculous thing she has yet to say? Since Chrissy knows that anything Jim says will only make him look worse, she is letting him hang himself right now. Jim too. Out here, he's still being reckless. Just last night, Jim was spotted in another club looking drunk and untidy. Do you know who he was? A mysterious woman. Consequently, the question now is not whether Chrissy will leave him, but rather when and how much Jim would regret it if she does. Chrissy makes the first move. This is going to be Jim Jones's death, honey. That's the only thing left to decide. Will Jim be able to handle these consequences? Or is this the beginning of Jim and Chrissy's downfall? You're aware already. I'll come back with all the latest information. Therefore, trust me when I say that this story is far from over. The question now, honey, is whether Jim and Chrissy's relationship will actually end, or if she will leave him permanently after years of supporting, shielding, and securing him. If she does, what will happen to Jim? Let's face it, Jim's reputation and career may not survive this one without Chrissy. But what about the fact that Chrissy is still silent and quiet now, which is louder than anything she might say? Honey, Jim could lose his home, his money, his relationship, and his professional reputation if Chrissy departs and files those claims because he is still acting recklessly while wearing the unnamed woman's arm. It looks like he's trying to kill himself. What about the fans? Baby, they have already decided on a side. Chrissy seems to have the full support of social media, and if she chooses to suit Jim, you can be sure that everyone will be watching. But what about the anonymous man? Is he only a friend? Or is that a true story about him? Now, what is Chrissy going to do next? Will she keep quiet and allow Jim to fail, or will she utilize her position of authority to defeat him once and for all? Let us know in the comments. Is it time for Chrissy to move on and never look back if you're more of a Jim or Chrissy fan? Or is Jim someone she should forgive? This is far from the conclusion of the drama. So, please tell me what you think. Furthermore, don't forget to hit like and subscribe button since, trust me, when the next chapter of the tale is released, you will wish to inform Tobe. First. Dear, please wait, since this story is only